An average mesothelioma claimant can expect to receive about $800,000 from already confirmed trusts, and say 10 years from now, with upcoming trusts being established, this amount will grow to about 1.2 million. And again, these are averages. And as the value of these trust payments have increased through time, the importance of these trusts has grown from being almost immaterial to being very essential and of critical importance in the valuation of current bankruptcies today. The analysts must therefore take into account the assets in these trusts for the purposes of financial reporting, for the purposes of insurance valuations, and also for the purposes of bankruptcy estimations. Soon, additional well-funded trusts that were intended to cover the share of former defendants like Pittsburgh Corning, Narcor, or W.R. Grace will be established. And once these forthcoming trusts establish the compensation that mesothelioma claimants will be receiving from these trusts, will exceed both the amount that these defendants were paying in the tort system in the 1990s, or what the companies would be paying if they were still in the tort system today. Given what I just said, one could expect that if trusts were compensating claimants in the same manner as solvent defendants do in the tort system, then GM, Garlock, Bondex, and had they stayed in the tort system, or other tort defendant will revert back to the environment as it existed in the 1990s. Well, however, asbestos trusts do not compensate claimants in the same manner as tort defendants. First of all, trusts overpay low-value claims and they underpay high-valued claims. This is nothing special. It is always the case with sort of matrix type of deals. Secondly, trusts are prohibited from being named on complaints as defendant. As such, they cannot be viewed as what we call a target defendant. A target defendant is a defendant that faces a substantial risk to being taken to trial while after all other co-defendants settled out of the case. And as such, a target defendant typically pays a premium on the several share, if you want so, when settling the case. This represents a material change from the 1990s, when frontline defendants that are replaced by trusts today were almost always the target defendants. Therefore, a complete reversion to the environment that we have seen in the late 1990s is unlikely. Even though certain effects of the bankruptcy wave of the early 2000s are permanent, like the two I just talked about, the dramatic increase in the settlement values that tort defendants experienced while frontline defendants were going through reorganization is not. And the forecast of the future liability for current data must take into account the assets and the current trusts, since they create a downward pressure on the defendant settlement values. And this downward pressure will actually increase in time for at least two reasons. First, additional trusts will come online, and therefore claimants will be receiving more money. Secondly, claimants will be receiving more money more quickly as trusts go through the backlog of claimants that they had to go through first, and will be paying claimants contemporaneously. Second, the population of asbestos claimants is aging, and everybody knows that a typical claimant in the tort system, an older claimant, will receive less amount than a younger claimant, and trusts do not account for the discrepancy in ages in quite the same manner. Today, the claim data alone does not allow us to answer this quantification exercise. Major trusts have not started paying until about 2008, and in the first couple of years they had to go through the backlog of pending claims. So if we look at the data of GM, Bondex, or Garlock, we are unlikely to see the downward pressure from the trust assets because it hasn't been enough time. So what can we do? Proper third-party discovery provides a remedy for the situation. 10 years from now, the situation might be different. 10 years from now, the downward pressure will likely be reflected in the debtor's data, and we won't have to go to the third-party discovery to answer the question what future liability will be like. But today, we find ourselves just on the brink of the change of yet another milestone in the asbestos litigation environment. And this is not the first time that we see it. This change is akin to the cessation of the non-malignant recruiting in the late 1990s, and this change is also akin to what happened to the litigation environment in the early 2000s when the majority of the frontline defendant exited the tort system. So we'll see what's going to happen over the next 10 years. Thank you.